To the Palm Beach County Board of County Commissioners zoning meeting for Thursday, October 26, 2023. May we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Barnett,
Here.
Commissioner Baxter,
Here.
Commissioner Bernard,
Here.
Commissioner Marino,
Here.
Vice Mayor Sachs, Mayor Greg Weiss,
Here.
and Commissioner Woodward. Here. Thank you.
All righty. With that, we are going to be led in our invocation and Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Marino. If you're able to, please rise.
Dear God, as we gather here today, we pray that we are ever mindful of opportunities to render our service to fellow citizens and to our community, keeping in mind always the enduring values of life, exerting our efforts in those areas and on those things upon which future generations can build with confidence. Let us continue to strive to make a better world. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Here you go, Mayor.
All right, and this meeting has been properly noticed.
Yes.
Thank you. With that, proof of publication has been provided. Would somebody like to make a motion to receive and file? We have a motion by Commissioner Bernard, a second by Commissioner Marino. All in favor, all opposed. That motion carries 6-0. Next, we will have swearing in. County Attorney, you're recognized.
All those wishing to testify or speak on any of today's items, please rise and raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
All right. And next, any amendments to our agenda today?
Yes, we do have a few amendments to our agenda. Item number 5, workforce housing. We've amended K3 to clarify the TDR process when we have a concurrent future land use amendment and a zoning application and a density bonus to be done through the administrative process. And then under comprehensive plan amendments and current zoning, item 4, Erickson, we have an amendment to engineering conditions 2 and 6 in Exhibit C2, ultimately to clarify the eastbound, westbound approaches, and then that the drainage as it's shown on the final site plan.
Okay. With that, is there a motion to receive a motion to adopt the amended agenda? We have a motion by Commissioner Baxter, a second by Commissioner Bernard. All in favor, all opposed. That motion carries 6-0. All right. Next, do we have any postponements, remands, or withdrawals from our agenda?
Yes, item number 1, PDD-CA 2021-00829 Delray Self-Service Storage. No motion is necessary, but the applicant did request a postponement. Staff agreed to postpone to November 29, 2023.
Okay.
No withdrawals.
Okay, thank you. All right. I need to ask for advice from our county attorney. So we now have only one item on the consent agenda. There was a request to remove this item from the consent agenda, but does it make any difference at this point since it's the only item?
Well, purpose of consent is to forego presentations and discussion. So if you'd like to have a presentation and discussion, then it would be appropriate to move it to the regular.
Okay, all right, then let me do this. Would anybody like a presentation on, this would be on item number 2.
May I ask the attorney, we have 2 comment cards on item 2.
It's really within your discretion if you'd like to hear the comments, and then afterward, if you feel like a presentation is appropriate, you can ask for that, or you can pull it first and then do the whole thing.
What's that? I got the 2 cards.
Yeah.
All right. Does any, okay, I'm just asking the board, anyone need a presentation at this time? Not seeing anybody. Okay, so let's hear from our speakers, and then if we need a further presentation, we will do that.
We have Carrie Buxton and Michael Weiner.
And I'm sorry, the agenda doesn't mention disclosures, but we will need disclosures. Is that before or after public comment?
No, that's a good point. We should do that before the public comment.
Okay, all right. Then let's go to disclosures. This is on item number 2, and we can start with Commissioner Barnett. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For item number 2, no verbal communications. We have received correspondence, no site visit. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Woodward?
Thank you, Mayor. I have no disclosures for item number 2.
Thank you. Commissioner Marino?
Likewise, I have no disclosures.
Commissioner Bernard?
No disclosures, Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner Baxter?
No disclosures, Mayor.
And I have no disclosures. Okay, so with that, I guess we can move on and hear from our speakers. And so, Commissioner Marino, you're recognized.
A couple of points of order for the record. This is Michael Weiner. We noticed that Ms. Sachs is not here today. We'll be not voting on this matter. I just appreciate to note that for the record. I represent Ms. Buxton. I do understand that there's a time limit. This is a quasi-judicial hearing, though. You'll have to have a finding of facts, and you'll have to meet. The burden of proof will be on the applicant. They will have to meet the requirements. Let Ms. Buxton speak first, and I will speak second. That'll be a total of 6 minutes.
Good morning. My name is Carrie Buxton. I live to the north side of the property to the applicants. Couple of things that I wanted to bring up is that we have a little bit of concerns about the conditional limited boarding usage, primarily due to a couple of past incidents that we've had. So there are current building and code violations that are still in place and ongoing at this time. One is for the dog boarding, and the second one is for building a driveway over their drain field, which is also noted on the comments in the very beginning. There's some questions on the application and the site plan that are still very left to be open that I would like to have set and firm and solid. One is the number of dogs allowed on the premises at any given time, how many non-owned, so that it is very, very clear. The other thing is the site plan doesn't show anything about the 25-foot setback that is apparently required, that they are to keep all of the dogs off of a 25-foot perimeter around the property lines. Then another question is the monitoring. So with it being a primary household, it could have limited access for code enforcement. At that point, who can monitor, who's going to make sure that they're following the conditional limitations? The hours, they have early hours, late hours, they do weekends, they do holidays. County employees don't work these hours, so if they are in violation during this time frame, who's to see this information? And how are we going to stop them? They have not stopped the boarding operation since they were originally in violation with code enforcement in April. I hope that you can see some of my concerns about how the application stands as it is now, and that with their past track record, that they have shown very little good faith to the neighbors of Colbright Road, in adhering to even building coding and violations. We need them really to have very specific defined conditions, so that there is zero wiggle room. So there's no room for interpretation of what we are passing and what we are allowing them. All of the residents at Colbright Road, we are completely at your mercy and hope that we can tighten these things up. If West Palm Dog truly, I feel, wants to be a part of our community for a betterment and improvement, then they still have some work to do in regards to their application. And it truly, to present an application that does take into consideration their surrounding neighbors and their community, however small or big they really do have on us. Thank you.
Thanks, Carrie. I think you can see there's a single-family residence which will now be next to up to 10 dogs on the premises on 1 acre. The way they're able to do this is through a very unusual conditional use called limited pet boarding. Don't know how it got in the code, but it's there now, so we get it. However, that limited pet boarding has specific parameters, and there are a ton of them. I couldn't even read them all off in 3 minutes. I know that your staff has done a good job. What Kerry is talking about is making sure that every single one of those are met. Some of them will be very difficult in order to understand how you observe and make sure they're met. One of them is there's a 25-foot setback where the dogs are not supposed to be for any reason. That's in the code. So under that circumstances, of course, they're worried and concerned. They're also worried and concerned because quite recently you passed Biltmore Acres Lantana Rural Enclave Overlay. I should get an extra minute just for saying that. It seems to me that with respect to that particular overlay, your staff, even though it was passed in August, your staff has said, we don't have to look at it right now. But there are comprehensive plan amendments that are already part of the code. And some of them talk about a new positioning for this neighborhood. Look, the best thing to do would be to put this off and make a quasi-judicial decision about this after you know the complete parameters of the Biltmore Acres Lantana overlay. If you are going to go forward with this, it seems to me you then have to go through thoroughly what the conditions of approval are and make certain that someone can hand to a code enforcement agent the list so that when someone says, no, they're in the 25-foot area, or no, they are putting them in accessory structures, which are not allowed, they've got to be inside the house, or there's specific time limits when they can be outdoors. No, they were there at 10 a.m. at night, 10 p.m. at night. You have to put those specifically in so it doesn't become I said, she said, and a code enforcement nightmare. So we're hoping that you do that. Look, under these circumstances, dogs bark at 80 decibels to 100 decibels. You guys have been through enough noise stuff, you know this. That's far in excess of whatever would be allowed in codes. You got 7 to 10 of them. You're living next door. You got a set of ordinances and a long list of conditions. First thing, please, maybe it should wait until we understand the Biltmore overlay. Second thing, if you're going to go ahead and do it, make sure there is a clear path so that enforcement can take place so that single-family people can live next to 10 dogs barking at 80 to 100 decibels per hour. Or per minute. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Baxter, you're recognized.
Is it Mr. Weiner?
Yes.
Actually, I have a question for you, but real quick, for staff more so. Do we have any policies regarding dogs barking overnight?
Oh my God, do you have policies? You have ordinances.
Ordinances
Yeah,
that say they can't between certain times?
Yes, I think your staff.
Mr. Weiner, hold on. Let me,
I'm sorry.
staff first.
Yes.
Thank you.
For limited pet boarding, there's hours of operation, but if your neighbor's dog is barking at midnight, that's an animal care and control violation and under their ordinance, not as ours. We, in zoning arena, we just have the rules for the limited pet boarding, their dogs going inside and outside, but a regular person dog, that would be animal care and control's ordinance.
And in this particular one, are they asking, if I remember correctly, it's been a week, they're asking for an increase of the amount of dogs that's normally allowed, or just to allow it to be there?
So
Pet
a
boarding.
person and a regular homeowner on this property could have up to 10 dogs or cats by the Animal Care and Control Ordinance. What was decided by the board several years ago is to create this home-based commercial enterprise for people to board up to 7 dogs, but they still have a 10 cap, so they can own 3 dogs and they can have people incoming dropping off up to 7 dogs. So that's what this home-based kind of use is. There's not an increase in quantity of dogs, it just allows you to care for 7 dogs that you don't own.
But by being a home boarding, then they do have to bring them inside.
Yes, they're required, and they have conditions of approval not to allow the dogs outside certain hours. The applicant added a condition of approval, said the number of animals in the outdoor activities between 6 p.m. and 7:30 p.m. shall not exceed 2 at any given time. There's also condition of approval that says there can't be outdoor animals other than on a leash outside after 7:30.
And this is all to keep the noise down for the neighbors?
Correct.
Thank you.
Just a correction, I believe it also includes cats.
Yes, unfortunately.
Unfortunately? All right, this hearing is going to be canceled. Okay, all right.
Mayor.
All right.
Mayor, I think we have one more card now. We were thinking there were 3 cards.
Thank you, you are correct. I'm sorry. Homan is the last name. I can't tell if it's Mark? Is that a Marty? Marty. Thank you, I apologize. I can't tell it, the T and the I.
You can come down here too, ma'am.
While she's coming down, I believe that's the agent for the applicant, and at this point, given all the discussion, once the public comment is done, it'd be appropriate to give him a chance to respond or explain anything.
I just wanted to talk for a moment about why we started West Palm Dog. My name's Marty Homan.
Thank you.
I'm one of the owners. I've been training dogs professionally for about 20 years. I'm nationally certified, and I take animal safety and dog training very seriously. And one thing I found over time was that the model of the private lesson in the owner's home once a week was not working, especially for a senior demographic. And here in Florida, that's largely what we see. We see seniors with puppies, dogs that they have just rescued, and they really struggle to get some traction and to stop getting bitten, jumped on. You know the list of behaviors that I'm talking about. And what we found was if we could take in a limited number of dogs and train them and install basic obedience behaviors, get crate training and potty training under control, we could then return them to the senior and start to educate them and provide aftercare. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit nervous. It's just this is extremely important to me because I do believe that this is a genuine way to help people in the community. When we started West Palm Dog, I am sure we made mistakes, but my husband and I have invested a significant amount of our finances in making sure that we could mitigate the impact to the neighborhood. We have really tried, and I want you to know that we remain responsive. We want to be good neighbors. We want to work with people. We are deeply troubled and sad about this conflict, and we want to move forward. Thank you.
Good morning. Kevin McGinley, representing the owners and the operators of West Palm Beach Dog. I've represented 15 limited pet boarding facilities in front of the board, and this is the first time I've been pulled off the consent agenda. I knew it would happen someday, and I'd like to give you a brief overview of what the limited pet boarding facilities are, how they operate, and how this one in particular operates. First of all, let me make it clear that anybody with 1 acre of property in Palm Beach County can have 10 dogs. They can have those 10 dogs in their yard, in their house, back in their house, out in the yard, and they're not regulated because they own 10 dogs. Those dogs do bark in other areas and things like that. So anybody along Colbright Road can have 10 dogs. What we're doing is we have a license to train dogs. And part of that training, believe it or not, if a person brings their dog for training and then leaves the property, that's considered boarding. Even if they don't spend the night, they're considered boarding. So they could go out for an errand or whatever they do, and if you have a dog that isn't registered to you, it's technically considered boarding. So we're going through the limited pet boarding process, which, like any conditional use, takes months and months and months of time and costs tens of thousands of dollars to get through the process. Fees to the county, surveyors, engineers, a small firm like myself, and to get through. And again, we've had 15 of them with really very little opposition and never been pulled off consent agenda. Let me describe a little bit about Colbright Road in particular. It is a dead-end road that extends about 0.8 of a mile north of Lantana Road. And along that strip of Colbright Road, there's various other uses. There are places of worship, there's a group home, there's home occupations. There are plenty of other businesses that operate out of their homes, probably legally. But we are not the only one that has a caveat for residential with our facility. So we are looking to get the license for the limited pet boarding from ACC so we can board and train. Right now, there isn't a category in the zoning code that allows board and train. You can have a kennel, you can store the animals there, you can have a doggy daycare, but you can't have overnight. There isn't anything in the code, and I've discussed this with staff. Perhaps we need to revisit that because as the model changes, we probably want a facility where you can both train overnight. Some of the training takes several weeks. We are an organization that is involved also with rescue animals. The owners of of West Palm Dog goes and rescue animals that will qualify for the training that they have in partnership with organizations like American Humane Pups for Patriots, where they train the dogs and then hand them over to veterans for their service dogs. We have others where we rescue dogs, especially golden retrievers. They seem to be the most amenable to the training that my clients perform. And dogs are surrendered all the time. People just can't keep up with them, and they're brought to the shelters. They have relationship with these shelters to bring these dogs in and get them trained for public use. Now, with regard to the improvements we've made, since my clients bought the property 2 years ago, which I believe is the same time frame in which the Buxtons bought theirs, we have done several things costing them over $200,000. And here's what we did. We enclosed what used to be the screen porch in the back. We completely enclosed it with impact windows, and that's where the training takes place. The training does not take place outdoors. The training takes place in an air-conditioned, enclosed, impact window structure in the back of the house. We heard concerns from the neighbors that the north side of our property, which is proximate to theirs, was causing them problems because they could hear voices and the dogs were coming out of cars and coming to the side of the yard and getting into the facility. They went ahead and put a circular driveway in. So no longer do you drop off the cars close to the neighbors. They pull into the circular driveway, and now they come in through the front door. So it's centrally located in the property. And you heard Ms. Buxton reference to things that happened in the past, but I'm telling you what's happening now, what we're doing. We were cited from code enforcement for the driveway because we put the driveway in, but the contractor didn't realize there was a septic tank drain field underneath. So we're in the process of permitting that to have the septic tank drain field. So that's one of the code enforcement issues they're talking about. And these are all done to be a better neighbor, the driveway and that. There was also a concern that there was a bell ringing when people came to get their dogs. We disconnected the bell, it only rings inside now, doesn't disturb them. The whole entire house is fitted with impact windows. We do a cleaning of all the surface. We have an artificial turf surface that we clean after the dogs relieve themselves and every night and morning. We do deep cleaning every week or two, and that's just with chemicals, the same thing that veterinarians use in their vets. So we're trying to keep down odors, noise, traffic to them. The 25 feet, and staff can correct me if I'm wrong, the 25 feet applies to the outdoor recreation area, a fenced-in area with a 4-foot vinyl-coated chain link fence that's required of all pet boarding facilities. That is located away from the neighbor in the center part of our property, closer to the property to the west of us. And we've gotten a letter of support from our property owner to the west of us, has no problems with the way we operate. Neither does the property owner to the south. That letter is also in the record. So we're trying to work with the one party that has some complaints, and we've done those things. We've limited the hours of operation, even though the code provides for 9 o'clock. We said 7:30, and that's going to be in the conditions of approval. We schedule drop-offs, pickups by appointment, so there's not a congregation of cars in the driveway or the street. We have protocols in our agreements that specify these things that we expect our clients to adhere to. And secondly, you can go out to my client's property, and within a couple of 100 feet, there are 15 other dogs. And those dogs are not regulated. They can run all over their yards. They can run right up to their fence line. They can do anything they want because they're their dogs. Now, there are times when we have several dogs at ours for our training, but they're ours. We rescue them, we take possession of them. So I believe that the enforcement capability of ACC and the conditions of approval will more than satisfy any concerns that the neighbors have, and I'll be glad to answer any questions.
I have some lights lit, but are there questions for Mr. McGinley? Okay, so Commissioner Woodward, do you recognize?
Yes, thank you. The outdoor space that you were talking about that's fenced in, that I guess fits within the requirements, how large is it?
Oh,
The fenced-in area that you have for the dogs that are being trained outside, how large?
it's a small area because it's probably about 20 by 40. What we don't do is we don't allow other dogs to go out there and exercise in that area. That's the only area you're allowed on the property where you're not under leash. So you can open the gate, let the dogs run around if they want, maybe 2 of them if they're friendly with each other. But it doesn't need to be a large area because we're not going to be sending 6 or 7 dogs out there.
How large is the actual yard then that's not part of this? And I guess it's an acre lot, right?
The acre lot with the house up towards Colbright and a large backyard with a swimming pool, gazebo, big lawn in the back. And the lawn in the back is where the recreation area will be.
Okay, so is the 25-foot setback, is that our requirement or?
Yes, it's in the Article 4 requirement, and it's indicated, their area is indicated on their site plan. It's 871 square feet. It's about 25 by 30, the area that they have on their site plan.
Okay, but for a regular person who could have up to 10 dogs in this area, is there any setback requirements?
No.
Okay. And this fits within code, their space?
Yes.
And I did have a question. The hours, I have a lot of dogs myself, so and they don't always go to the bathroom when I want them to. So are they allowed to go out and relieve themselves after a certain time period? And especially if you're training puppies, I mean, they don't make it through the night. So.
Yes. They will go outside under leash
Okay.
and go to an area that I described that has the synthetic turf, which is cleaned up right after they're done.
Okay.
And I've been out to the property. Odors, and you didn't hear from the neighbor that the odors are a problem, but we do this for sanitary reasons. It's just the way we operate.
Okay.
So yes, they can go out on leash, relieve themselves, go back in the crates and spend the night, wake up as puppies would do.
Okay. And that is part of the training, I take it, just so that when they go back to their owners, they.
Absolutely. I'm told by the operators of West Palm that the dogs don't even relieve themselves unless they're given a command that they're allowed to. I mean, that's the type of training that goes on.
Okay. And I guess my last question is, are you able to socialize the dogs by having such a limited outdoor space for them to play in? Because I would think that that's important for the owners, that their dogs are socialized with.
Well, I haven't been through the training sessions, but I imagine sometimes in the training sessions, there'll be that socialization. But they're not here for a long period of time. They're here for a specific purpose, and then they move on to their regular home. So, yes, they do. They can congregate with other animals as they're training, probably. One says, I'm better than you, watch what I can do. Things along those lines.
You are correct. Socialization of young dogs and puppies is especially important. It's another reason why we wanted to do what we do. We want to make sure that dogs are able to socialize safely. We group them indoors, and we have limited groupings outdoors as well. But one thing we wanted to do differently from the traditional daycare that you might find otherwise is we keep the groups small. We don't think that groups of 20, 30 dogs, we don't think that's healthy. We think that dogs do need each other, but we think that they learn best from each other when they're not afraid or overwhelmed. So we're careful to keep the groups small, and we also keep them within a certain weight class and temperament type for each other.
And I would assume bark training to not bark at every leaf that falls from the sky is also, part of this. I know
Yeah.
that the potential for barking is a problem, and I assume that's
It's
maybe
definitely, yes, the potential is always there. So I educate the person who helps me that as soon, first of all, we watch the dog's body language, because oftentimes you can tell by the way in which a dog is behaving. You can catch that bark before it happens. But we also have educated the person who helps us that as soon as a dog barks, they are to come back inside. Not because they're a bad dog, but because their body is full of endorphins and they're no longer able to control their barking.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other questions for the applicant at this time? Not seeing any. Okay, thank you, Mr. McGinley. And so next would be Commissioner, oh, sorry.
I just wanted to, I'll make it quick, I promise.
No,
Questions?
no, that's help you.
So, just real quick, is this a rural area? Such as, like, how many acres is this
We
property?
called it a rural enclave.
This is 1 acre. You can go down the block, find 2-acre properties and all.
Up to-
It's a mix of large lots.
Of large lots?
There are some
there
smaller
other
lots that-
permitted animal uses in the neighborhood? Are they allowed to have chickens? Are they allowed to have horses? Are
Yes.
they allowed to have?
As a matter of fact, there's a horse stable right down, maybe 5 lots down to the south of us. And in our particular property.
Please.
I'm sorry.
I-
Okay.
I just needed to. Yes,
Thank you. Thank you. I can
I
try to
get,
be.
and what I'm getting at is pet boarding is highly needed in this community. I've talked to several people who do it, and there's not enough. So I want to thank the applicant for what you're doing and being very thoughtful with the long list of things you've done to mitigate all of the concerns. And I can't think of one thing more that you could have potentially done. So I just wanted to say thank you for that. And I think in this type of area, it absolutely fits. It smells, noise. It sounds like this is the type of area that is with other animals. So pet boarding just absolutely makes sense there. So thank you for going through this process and doing this the right way and giving our pets a place to be.
Okay. I don't see any other questions for you, Mr. McGinley.
Good.
Thank you. All right, Commissioner Marino, you're recognized.
Thank you. My question would be to staff. Is there anything additional in a presentation that would give us any more information?
No, the applicant had proposed different hours of operation that are in the code, so it's 7 to 9, but they've restricted them further in their conditions of approval to assist in what he had already presented. So they're already incorporated in Exhibit C.
And also for staff, the permitting for the driveway that went over the septic field, how did that even occur in the first place, that this got done without a permit for the driveway?
I can answer that.
Thank you, Kevin.
Yes, they hired a contractor to put in the pavers. He neglected to adhere to the survey when he went out there and put the driveway in, didn't realize he was covering up the drain field for it. Permits were applied for and permits are pending based on the septic tank drain field being relocated. Code Enforcement Board gave my client substantial time to get that taken care of, but the permits have been in months ago.
So the drain field and the septic tank are being relocated away from underneath the driveway?
The septic tank has always been away from the driveway. It's the drain field that was the issue. So the drain field is being moved over at their expense to go ahead and dig a new drain field on the side of the grass. It can't be covered by pavement, a drain field.
Okay, that's all my questions. Thank you.
County Attorney, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just because it was mentioned during public comments regarding the quasi-judicial nature of this hearing and standards of approval, I'd just like for staff to confirm on the record that you believe in your professional judgment that the standards of approval for the zoning map amendment and the Class A conditional use have been satisfied as reflected in the staff report that's included.
That is correct.
Thank you.
All right. Commissioner Barnett, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If this is the proper time, I'd like to make a motion to adopt a resolution approving item 2B.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Barnett, a second by Commissioner Marino. I don't see any other lights lit. So with that, we will call the question. You're holding your finger up? Oh, okay, let's verify what you're, okay. So you are amending your motion to 2A and 2B?
Yes, sir, I'll amend my motion to approve item 2A and 2B. Thank you.
Okay. And we have and again, that has been seconded by Commissioner Marino. All right, seeing no further discussion, all in favor, all opposed, that motion carries 6-0. Thank you all for being here. Maybe someday you'll start training cats, and
Thank you for your time.
goodness knows, some people around here might need it. Not my house, though. Okay, thank you. Okay, so that's item number 2. We are now on to item number 3, and I believe so 3 and 4 will be companion items. So there is both a land use and a zoning application in front of us. So do you want us to do disclosures? Okay, we'll start with our disclosures since I so often find I can't, now where's my disclosure sheet? All right, I had it here. Oh, there it is. All right. All right, this is actually for item number 4. We will have disclosure, and that is, we can start to my right. Commissioner Baxter.
Thank you, Mayor. For item number 4, my office received an email which has been filed with the clerk. I had conversations, I'm going to say with Jennifer Morton and Lauren McClellan over disclosing because I don't remember.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
And no
you.
site visit.
Thank you. Commissioner Bernard.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For item number 4, I've met with Jennifer Morton, Lauren McClellan, Stephen Montgomery, Jonathan Cooper, Katrina Long Robinson, Marion Navarro, Keith Summers, Scott Jessler, and Colin Sweeten. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Marino.
Thank you, and I apologize. The young lady sitting next to Jennifer.
Marion Navarro.
Thank you. I've got to add that to my list. And I'll have to update what I gave the clerk. I spoke with Jennifer Morton, Lauren McClellan, Jonathan Cooper, Colin Sweeten, Marianne Navarro. I've received emails from the Chamber of Commerce of the Palm Beaches and BARC and other numerous emails filed with the clerk. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Woodward.
Thank you, Mayor. For item number 4, I have verbal communications with Jennifer Morton, Lauren McClellan, Steve Montgomery, Marianne Navarro, and I have email correspondence that has been filed, no site visit.
Thank you. Commissioner Barnett.
Thank you, Mayor. I've had verbal communications with Jennifer Morton, Marianne Navarro, Lauren McClellan, correspondence that has been filed with the clerk. No site visit. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, and for my disclosure, I've had verbal communication with Jennifer Morton, Lauren McClellan, Scott Gensler, and Marianne Navarro, and we received emails and letters, and those have been filed with the clerk. And Commissioner Baxter, you're recognized.
Would you please update the record to the other names listed for myself as well? Thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you. So with disclosures out of the way, we will bring up the applicant for their presentation. unless nobody wants a presentation. No? No? Okay.
Good morning,
One
Jennifer.
second. Do you need a presentation on this? Okay. All right, so we don't require a presentation.
Okay.
Okay. Does anyone need a presentation from staff? No? Okay, good. All right, so we have cards on this matter.
Now we have cards for both item 3 and item 4.
We'll hear them together.
Okay, so Robert Fraser, followed by Drew Martin, Linda Smith, and Julie Palmer. Nice to see you again, Mr. Fraser.
Good morning, and thank you for allowing me to speak. I'm a resident of an Erickson Senior Living community. I have been for the past 10 years. I thought it might be helpful for you to know a little bit about how they operate. We moved to Devonshire at PGA National, my wife and I, not long after she had been diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's disease. During the course of our life together there, we enjoyed the lifestyle. Joan had to move to our memory care unit where she spent the last 2 years of her life. In the 10 years nearly that I've lived there, I've gotten very involved in the community. We have a resident advisory council where I have served as the secretary, the vice president, the president, the chair of several committees. Why? Because it's my community. And I think it's important for the residents to have an effective voice with management. I've found our management both at the local level and corporate management to be good people, caring, competent, responsive. Erickson has invested a good deal of money in the community. They bought it out of bankruptcy from Southern Hospitality Partners just before we moved in. They have made many, many improvements over the years. And my sense is that for a lot, the management, they're not in it just because it's a job. I think it's a calling for them. We have about 300 hourly staff, and I think it's kind of a calling for many of them as well. And one of the things that I like from the young folks that help us, the answer to any question is almost always yes. Moving to a continuing care retirement community had always been the plan that Joan and I had. After her diagnosis, it became clear that the time was now. Very often you hear, well, I'm not ready. But we were ready. At least I knew we had to be ready. And it's one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. It's almost like living on a cruise ship that doesn't set sail. Research has shown there are about 10 or 12 factors that contribute to aging well. All of those are available to us at Devonshire. It's kind of like living in a big, loving family. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Martin?
Drew Martin, I'm here on behalf of the Sierra Club. First, I want to begin by thanking you for the meeting on Tuesday and the fine job that all the commissioners did, and really appreciate it. And I think the public appreciates it too. So thank you for your service. Certainly, we're not here to argue against these sort of services. I mean, they are important. And so the gentleman's certainly, I'm sure, quite correct. I'm sure they do a fine job. We also want to say staff has done a good job in reviewing this, and we're not here to, say there's anything wrong with the staff recommendation. But we, as a Sierra Club, unfortunately, have to be for the perfect. And so even though this is, a lot of good things about this, absolutely, but it's not the perfect place, it's not the perfect location. And so that is, one of the concerns we have. First of all, is it's active agriculture. And as we talked about, and I know my wife is a active horticultural advisor in the past. She's not working today, but she has in the past. And we know that agricultural land is difficult to duplicate. So this is active agriculture. It's also somewhat fallow, which is a good thing. A lot of people think fallow land means it's kind of empty space, but a lot of insects, which are beneficial, and birds will be using this. And so there's a question whether this is the ideal location. The other issue is traffic. And my person I work with, Linda Smith, is going to talk about traffic. But traffic is a huge issue in this area. And the other issue is, of course, evacuation, because you're going to put over 100 beds in a place with people that are not capable of evacuating on their own, and the traffic's going to be a problem. And the hurricanes are coming very fast now. We don't have a lot of notice. We have a hurricane out there right now, so we don't even really have, we can no longer say we're in or out of the high season for hurricanes. And so there is a certain safety component here. Also, you already have a stressed emergency response out in this area. So now you're putting 100 beds out there, people that might have difficulty in an emergency, and you're going to have an emergency response time that may not be adequate to meet the issue. It would cost the county money. You would have to change the road structure. We'd have to create additional access. Oftentimes during an emergency, roads are blocked, and so it could result in the untimely death of some of the applicants. So it has nothing to do with the recommendation of staff. It has nothing to do with the ability of this facility to do a good job. It simply is the location we think is not particularly appropriate. Again, you'll probably vote for this, but that we are just giving you our humble opinion. Thank you so much.
Ms. Smith, followed by Ms. Palmer.
Linda Smith, Jupiter, Florida, Sierra Club. I'm not going to take the full 3 minutes. I appreciate the opportunity to speak today. I am going to speak a little bit about traffic, because Tuesday I learned a lot about traffic, impacts on our roadways, the red roads, and I put that in quotes. I don't have the list of the roads. I am making the assumption here, and I'm going to assume that the red roads did not happen due to one project. I think it was by 1,000 cuts, or the hundreds of projects, big and small, that have been approved through time. There was a lot of discussion about that kind of thing on Tuesday. I'm asking going forward, because I know this is done, and I'm not even going to talk about all the ag reserve stuff. You've heard all that. I'm asking going forward, because of the red roads, early during preliminary discussions, pushing hard to reduce the increase in traffic until the roads are improved. But on the ag reserve, I will leave you with a quote. If we squander the ecological capital of the soil, the capital on paper won't matter much. By Wes Jackson, President of Land Institute. Thank you for your time.
What's next?
Good morning. My name is Julie Palmer, and I'm the Associate Executive Director for Devonshire and Chatsworth at PGA National, an Erickson Senior Living community. I have been there for the last 11 and a half years. I am also an original homeowner in Canyon Trails of Boynton Beach. In fact, if you look at your screen, you can see my house. My backyard literally backs up to our proposed property. How do I feel about that? Very proud and very excited. I have watched the growth and development for the last 12 years of my surrounding community, and I believe that Erickson Senior Living would provide a continuation of the quality of life the senior residents of Boynton Beach and surrounding area have come to enjoy without having to leave the area they have come to love and call home. In my role at Erickson, I oversee hundreds of employees ranging from medical staff, management, and many other personnel who serve our senior residents. Because we are a continuing care retirement community, we provide a wealth of on-site services that cater to the needs of our seniors, from medical and nursing services to ensuring the opportunity to engage in a healthy and vibrant lifestyle. I was the director of nursing for our continuing care for approximately 10 years before my current role. I have been a director of nursing in a continuing care retirement community for just under 25 years. And I have seen the benefits a CCRC provides to the greater community. As a child, a CCRC was built down the street from my house, where ironically my mother was the director of nursing. Fast forward many years, and I became the director of nursing of that very same CCRC. So you see, a CCRC provides not only for the seniors in the community, but also provides hundreds of jobs and workforce development opportunities, as I have certainly benefited from those and thoroughly enjoyed. As I grew up with a CCRC down the street, that impacted me so much to guide and shape my career choices. And I would look forward to now having in our community, in my backyard, that also may guide and shape the careers of our younger residents of Boynton Beach. I encourage you to support Erickson Senior Living in Boynton Beach as we look forward to help our seniors live better lives, create a vibrant lifestyle and work environment with health and well-being our priority, not only for our seniors, but also for all residents of Boynton Beach. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner, oh, I'm sorry. We'll hear from our county attorney and then Commissioner Marino.
I just wanted to make sure if the applicant would like to say anything in rebuttal.
Okay.
Thank you.
Unless you have any questions for me, I have nothing more to add. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Commissioner Marino and then Commissioner Bernard.
I need to amend my disclosure. I had a very wonderful tour of Devonshire, and I met with the residents and the staff. It was a while back, so when we were going through this, it failed to rise to my memory, but I do have to say that, and Devonshire actually is in Palm Beach Gardens in my district, and less than a half a mile from my house, is a spectacular community. With folks of all abilities. And if something that is that necessary for the community can be done in District 5, I'm more than happy to support it, and I am more than happy to make the motion to approve B3 as we get started. Thank you.
All right. So we have let me get back here. So we have, would be item 3 on our regular agenda, a motion by Commissioner Marino.
And I'll second.
And a second from Commissioner Bernard. And Commissioner Bernard, you're recognized.
Yeah, just, Mr. Mayor, I just want to make sure that, since we're talking about traffic and since this is right behind her backyard, if you can move her to that location, that'd be great. But we appreciate the presentation. Thank you.
I had the exact same thought. One less car off the road. All right. So any further discussion on this item? Not seeing any. I will go ahead and call the question then. All in favor, all opposed. That motion carries 6-0.
Mayor, may I follow up to make a motion to approve 4A and B?
We have a motion by Commissioner Marino to approve items number 4A and B, a second by Commissioner Bernard. I see no other discussion. All in favor, all opposed. That motion also carries 6-0. All right. With that, we are now to item number 5, and that is going to be, or C5, and that's our ULDC revisions.
Yes, so our item 5 is final adoption. This was presented last month before the board. It's amendments for workforce housing and our transfer development rights. It's been before our LDRAB and our LDRC. The motion is for adoption, and we do have on the add delete that correction for TDRs. Would you like a presentation from Maria Bello?
We will, let's see.
Yeah, Maria? Brief presentation is requested.
Thank you. Good morning. And yes, a brief presentation. So the changes are, as you have heard in your briefings, to remove an unnecessary step from the TDR program, which is something that's currently in the code that requires Class A approval or board approval when TDRs meet certain criteria. And what this exception will do is to create an exemption for those when those are also part of a future land use amendment that the board is considering anyway. And then with regard to the workforce housing items, and that is the revised text. This is to address the issues that we've experienced with compliance monitoring over the last several years with our rental units, essentially moving to a real-time compliance determination instead of the reliance on the annual report. Also establishing a specific compliance threshold, which has not been in the code before, to trigger code enforcement action as opposed to going after every little thing that is missing. And then working to enhance transparency for tenants, making sure that they receive copies of the same information that we receive so that they know how their rent was calculated and what kinds of fees can and cannot be charged to them. So that is an example of the type of tracking that we do with this information. And then finally, with regard to utilities and fees, changing how utilities are addressed in the workforce housing rental units so that the breakdown will be according to whether a tenant has control over either receiving a service or the usage of that service, or if they don't, then it has to be absorbed within the rent that they're being charged. If they do have control, that can be charged above the rent. So that is a quick overview of the types of changes.
Okay.
And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Commissioner Baxter, you recognize.
Thank you, Mayor. The chart that you had, is that the updated numbers of how many workforce housing units we currently have and what's available, or?
No, this is, sorry, I don't know where this is going. That is actually, little
Just
button
keep
goes
pushing
backwards.
buttons. I always
Gotcha.
do that.
Valerie, maybe you can also fix it from there. No, that is actually a tracking chart for the workforce units in one project.
That's fine. Not right now, but I'm curious to know currently where we stand with workforce housing. So if staff at some point wouldn't mind providing that to all of us, rentals, ownership, so on and so forth. But
Sure.
thank you for your very brief presentation. It was wonderful.
And if I can just amend your request.
Sure.
I think it's important to understand the totality within the county. I mean, and I know some cities have required workforce housing units also to be built. I think for us to just
And even potentially, Mayor, what's in the works too? What have we approved? That's
That's
yet to come?
Okay, I'd like to see it all. I
Yeah.
think.
What we can do is next week, we'll see you all again at the
Oh,
comprehensive
no.
plan
Really?
hearing. So we can be ready to, under comments, to provide that information to the board.
Oh, that'd be great.
Thank you.
Oh.
Sorry.
What do you say when we both say the same thing at the same? Jinx. Okay. All right. All right. I didn't see which lights went on, so I will ask Commissioner Marino and then Commissioner Woodward.
I was just going to say, you may want to reach out to the Housing Leadership Council too, because they usually have good information. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Woodward. You're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Once this is up and running, where we're getting, every time a lease changes over, they have to report to us, is that going to be on some sort of a dashboard that is visible to the public? I mean, not necessarily the exact location, but just so that we know overall how many units are being leased at workforce rates versus how many vacancies we have?
Right, we will have that database internally. The county does have a housing dashboard that does allow for property managers to enter information on their availability, so that is the public portal for that information.
Okay, is this something that we'll have access to, or can we at least get maybe like monthly, quarterly reports?
Absolutely.
With that, okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? I'm not seeing any. We could entertain a motion? It's a motion to adopt, yeah.
Make a motion to adopt.
We have a motion from Commissioner Marino, a second from Commissioner Woodward. I see no further comments. All in favor, all opposed. That motion carries 6-0. All right. I think that takes us to the end of our regular agenda. Okay, so next we will have comments by the county attorney,
No comments.
zoning director.
Good morning. The only comment I have to say is October is a wonderful month to adopt a cat or dog if you need a dog. And on this Saturday, there's a huge adopt-a-thon at Animal Control. And there's also one at any pet store usually that has animals will have animals for adoption.
Thank you. Planning director.
No comments.
Executive director.
Just wanted to thank the staff for all their hard work this week and next week and always. So thank you, guys.
Thank you. Executive director.
I'm just happy to report that we beat Tuesday night's effort in a little bit over an hour, so thank you for your time.
Okay. Did we meet the over-under on that, or what?
I need to check with the bookie again, yes.
All right. Okay, next, we have commissioner comments, and we can start with Commissioner Barnett this morning.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And Lisa, thank you for your comments. If anybody would like to adopt my girlfriend's cat, just kidding. Saved me a few scratches on my hands, battle scars. But no, I also wanted to acknowledge Strides Against Breast Cancer. I had a chance to meet with the PBSO at Gun Club Cafe yesterday. We signed the pink squad car, PBSO green goes pink, and I see a lot of us are wearing pink today. Thank you for the opportunity to acknowledge our family and friends who may have passed or may have overcome and are survivors and warriors. I also want to thank my colleagues for the work we did on Tuesday. It was a very long and hard meeting, but I think maybe we all came together. Maybe some of us didn't get the result that we wanted, but it was well thought out. Everybody had something to add to the conversation, and we move forward from here. I also would like to acknowledge Sasha and Laura in my office who put together an outstanding roundtable on Tuesday for discussions of the Hispanic Resource Community Center, which is being proposed and worked on very hard in our office, and I'm grateful for the support we've seen from administration and from members of the Board of County Commissioners. Hopefully soon, who knows, within a year or two, we'll see shovels in the ground, but this is a badly needed center that will help so many of our people in my district and across Palm Beach County. Also, it will aid many agencies that are already providing resources on the ground. It'll be a hub where all of these groups can come together for not just the large Hispanic population I represent, but for all people in my district and, again, across Palm Beach County. It's overdue and badly needed. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Woodward, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to start, thank you, Ms. Samara, for bringing up the Halloween animal care and control. I'm actually going to be one of the judges for the contest, which I hope is easier than the patriotic baby contest I had to do a while back. That was very difficult. But yes, it looks to be a good day. I think it's going from 12 to 5, and it's great. We talked about dogs today. Love the animals and the cats. I'm allergic. That's the only reason I don't have cats. And I would also like to thank everyone for Tuesday. I think Mr. Rudder told me it actually breaks the record for longest meeting. And as a commissioner under a year, I was like, well, that's a little scary for me. But I just wanted you to know I've received a lot of feedback from the public. that they were very happy with, however they felt about the outcome of the meeting, they were happy with the process because they got to actually watch this board do what we're supposed to do, staff do what we do, and the public that came out to speak on this, very passionate, and this engaged the entire county, both sides of the aisle, north, south, everybody, and it was really something to watch. And I think a lot of people got to see how local government can work, and they were very engaged and watched it. And I just wanted to thank everyone. I know that you have years into this that I don't have. My less than 1 year into it's been intense, but just thank you, and know that the public watched, and it means a lot for them to see how hard we work and come to the outcome that we did. So just thank you all, and all of my fellow commissioners too.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Marino, you recognize.
Thank you. I would like to just let the public know that there is an annexation public information meeting in Palm Beach Gardens tonight at City Hall in reference to the question that may be on the ballot in March about annexation of unincorporated areas in the north end of the county. And if anybody wants more information, I know that my office is getting a lot of phone calls, and I'm also meeting with staff from our staff and from garden staff to get more information. But if you want to actually ask the gardens folks, the meeting is tonight at City Hall from 5 to 7:30. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Bernard, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This afternoon, I'm going to be having lunch with the seniors at the Lindsay Davis Senior Center, so I'm looking forward to it this afternoon in Revere Beach. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Baxter, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to thank staff for enduring with us for that very long meeting on Tuesday. We were right there, obviously, with you guys, but you put in a lot of the work, putting everything together in the presentations, and I don't even want to know how many hours went into everything that went into that. So I can't thank you enough and say your help and your answering our questions did not go unappreciated. And thank you to the board for a very robust conversation regarding all of it. I think all of us are a little tired. I think it's great that Animal Care and Control is having, pets get adopted. It's absolutely amazing, which fits right in with one of our items today. So that was great. So again, just thank you, everyone, and I hope everyone has a great, relaxing weekend.
Thank you, Commissioner. And for my comments, I also want to endorse the Adopt-A-Boo coming up this Saturday. I will also be joining folks out at Animal Care and Control. I have told my wife we are not bringing any more home. We have right now, we have 4 fosters that we are taking care of. They're all doing great. But as things happen in my house, it wouldn't be unlike her to find some more to add to the litter. Also, just a brief reminder, coming up on November the 4th is going to be Lagoon Fest. That's held downtown West Palm Beach on Flagler Drive. This time it'll be located just a little bit south of the Great Lawn, so near the Palm Beach Post Park. And that's a great opportunity for families and anybody who wants to learn about the great things that the Lagoon supports. And a lot of the research that's going on, an opportunity to meet with lots of different groups that'll be there, and talking about the lagoon and its importance to us. We had a good discussion on that on Tuesday, and the work that we're doing to both restore the lagoon and to protect the lagoon from unnecessary fresh water, which damages the ecology of the lagoon. So that's going to be from 9 to 2 downtown. I'll make a reminder next week since we have meetings next week, so you won't all forget about it. And again, and a note in front of me, all adoption fees are waived at Adopt-A-Boo. So if you have an opportunity to bring an animal into your home, you're going to be able to do so without any fees involved. And these are, I know the animals we found, they're great, great animals, and it's unfortunate that they don't have homes. They all need homes. They're loving, and as we learned today from our dog trainer, they keep people company, and one of the things we know is how important it is that folks not be lonely, and it's a great opportunity to both support an animal and provide your own peace of mind. I tell myself all the time, I'm petting my cat while I'm sitting up here. Keeps me nice and calm. All right, with that, I see nothing else in front of us. So this meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for a wonderful morning.